I brought up the fact that I'm continuing to see a pattern of employees being moved around within the school district, whether they may not be qualified for the position, but if their position's been eliminated, then they might get moved to another position that they are not qualified for. Based on what I've seen, and also people in the community who apply for positions who are highly qualified and they're being overlooked, I can't vote on this personnel report. I've lost faith in the hiring process. And until this board comes together and makes it a priority that we hire the most highly qualified professionals, I can't vote on these personnel reports.
Anyone else?
I have one comment to make.
Yes, sir.
Chairman, I'm making the motion and voting on all the past personnel reports. In my opinion, this board has approved the administration's hiring of the most qualified individuals for the positions that were available. And I will continue to do so as long as I feel it's appropriate. That's the reason I made the motion on this report. We've done so. There is no loss of faith with this board member.
Anyone else? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay. 5-1 is
This
the loser, and then we'll.
It shows me that she's still on there.
Ann?
Ann, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Did we get your vote on the last?
I voted in favor, thank you.
All right, so we have 6-1.
I'm going to mute you again, so I don't bother your meeting.
Okay. Next on the action agenda is budget amendment number 4. Is there a motion to accept budget amendment number 4?
Also move, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
I do have a question. I know we got some clarification via email about the budget amendment. It appears that there's about $1.3 million that's going to be used for AstroTurf, I'm assuming, or some sort of turf for athletic fields. Is there, just wondered if the facilities director could elaborate on this, or the maintenance, whoever's in charge of the AstroTurf.
Well, I can tell you a little bit. I mean, I think it was in 2004 when the board, they had the COPS projects that were, there was basically renovations done at every school. And I wasn't on the board then. Dusty, were you on the board?
I was on the board then, yes.
Okay, and there was a meeting, and at that time, the decision was made to change to the artificial surface on all the fields. And at that time, it was stated that, you know, money would be set aside every year. They have an approximate lifespan of 12 years. And so money would be set aside. I don't remember exactly what the replacement cost was for each individual field, but every year, they were basically set aside a 12th of that amount. So that at the end of 12 years, if the fields needed to be replaced at that time, then the money would be there to do that. As far as I know, that has taken place in capital outlay every year. Hopefully we'll get more than 12 years out of the fields. You know, they seem to be holding up pretty good right now, but that was kind of the process. I don't know if you can add anything to that, or.
So is the money right now that we're doing, is that going to be used, you know, in this school year for the turf?
No, it's
my question.
Money is set aside each year. Most of the fields were replaced, or 2005 at various points, and maybe 2006, some of the fields were completed. So basically, there's money set aside every year, so that when that time comes when we have to replace those surfaces, the money will be there, and so you won't have to. It's basically set aside in the savings account.
And just to add on to that, I wasn't around either, but my understanding is it's less costly than having grass, and also enables us to have a lot more different entities use the field. So for those two reasons, it made sense to get into AstroTurf.
And it keeps the football coaches happier. They let people on the field now. So, does that help?
Oh, yeah. I just wasn't sure if we were actually replacing some AstroTurf at this point after just 8 years, or if it was actually just moving the money.
No, I think the only maintenance that they really do right now is they add the little supply pellets to the field. I think that's the only maintenance that's actually done.
Yeah, and I did have another comment, just to restate that I have not been voting for the budget amendments on the basis of the fact that the public, the teachers, parents, other stakeholders in the community have not had any input into the budget process. This budget was developed behind closed doors, and just wanted to let people know that I'm voting against it for that reason.
Are there any other comments? All in favor?
I'll just comment on that. I mean, since we have folks that hadn't been here, as you can see, I don't have all my books in front of me, but this is a line item budget that's on our website now that everybody can look at. Last year, I don't have it in front of me, but last year Dr. Baldwin held meetings in each of the districts. We have open meetings all the time. Lisa has voted, Ms. Baldwin has voted against this is our fourth budget amendment in public session that everybody gets to see and look at and ask questions about in public comment if they want to. This is the fourth time that she's voted against it because of the fact that we don't discuss it in public. Every month we'll have a budget update. Last year I believe we had 8 or 9. We have a work session February, March 1st. That was just announced, public's invited to come to that. I'm sure I'm missing a lot of things, but there's a ton of opportunity for input. Dr. Baldwin has his leadership team, and a group of, how many folks? Your leadership team, that would be? 14 meet on this weekly, probably every other week, throughout the year to discuss the budget. Principals meetings, the budgets are discussed. Staff meetings in public at the schools, budgets are discussed. It's not a secret. Thank you.
And I just wanted to respond to that. The public meetings you referred to were not to collect input from stakeholders. They were to present what the 14 central office administrators decided for our students, our 25,000 students in this system, and their priorities. And this book is wonderful, and this is what I've been asking for since I was elected in 2010. And it shows our priorities, and I hope everybody will go to the website. It's very easy to read. You know, you already saw that 48% of our money is allocated to the classroom. These are the priorities that were decided by these central office administrators without holding public budget hearings. Best practices are being observed in other school districts in North Carolina, which include collecting input on their websites.
Mr. Chairman,
I've even given examples.
Ms. Baldwin is grandstanding. Thank you.
Mr. Bryan, I would like for the discussion to continue, please.
Okay, I'll continue. Thank you. I mean, I've gone to workshops, been trained by the North Carolina School Board Association about budgeting. Other counties have presented their best practices where they do collect input from everyone. I've had teachers come to me and beg and say, can't we just have a suggestion box at our school so we can tell you cost-saving measures, you know, things we've seen waste in areas, but we have no way to speak. They feel there's a culture of fear that if they speak out, they will be retaliated against, and parents feel the same way in this school system. That's one of the reasons I ran for the school board, because of that retaliation and the fear factor.
Mr. Place.
I've been on this school board now for almost 12 years. I'm a very approachable person. I have never in my 12 years had a teacher or a parent come to me and beg for something to be changed about the budget. I mean, I have a email list. People got my email. I'm in the community. I'm out there all the time, and no one has ever come to me and made such a statement, ever. And I just find it hard to believe.
Mr. Runner, may I also? Yes, sir.
I've heard the challenge. In a school, go ahead.
Do I have your permission to speak, Ms. Baldwin?
Please have a turn.
Yeah, big deal. I go through him out. like me to
I've been
speak
in
to
this
women like
community all my
that.
life as well, Mr. Glass. Been around education all my life because both of my parents were teachers in this system. So I've been around teachers and parents and students, and I'm a parent of 3 children that went through Buncombe County Schools who are still there. I, too, am involved in a lot of community activities, and I have never once heard anyone complain, other than Ms. Baldwin, about the budget process.
You're afraid if you,
We have meetings. Those meetings are open. People have an opportunity to speak. You all came and spoke tonight on an issue that was very important to you. The way this system works, and the way every system works and should work is this, and this is the way it has been done and is appropriate. As Mr. Yelton said, the community elects the representatives of the community to a board to make decisions on behalf of the community. As Mr. Yelton said, if you don't like the decisions made by the members of the board, there is a way to take care of that, and that's every November, depending on the rotating terms. I understand that. I think we all do. We are elected to make decisions with regard to a variety of issues for the school system on behalf of the public of Buncombe County. One of those is the budget. But in order to do that, another one of our responsibilities that Mr. Yelton also pointed out is that we hire the superintendent. We have done that. The superintendent has an administration that we have voted on and approved with regard to those hiring policies. That includes someone, a group of people who put together the budget. These are professional educators that are given directives by the state and the federal government with regard to how the money is to be spent, how much money we have, and what we're to do with it. That's who develops the budget proposals. We are the group that decides on that. If there is something that is inappropriate, that the public doesn't like about that, you have an opportunity to let us know. But this continual grandstanding about saying that the public is not involved is nothing more than that. It is pure grandstanding.
I would
You have
like
an
to,
opportunity, you have opportunities to let us know what your thoughts are about that, and I'm sure you will. That's all I have, Mr. Robert.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay.
yeah, those are not my thoughts alone. The board members are to be the eyes and ears of the community, and this is what I hear from the community. And the school board's job, responsibility, is to set the priorities and decide what the school system should be doing, how we should be, what we want to spend that money on. If we want it to be the fine arts program, if we want to fix the broken orchestra program, it's our decision. If we want to work with the AIG program or the exceptional children, if we want things to be different, it's our responsibility. Then the superintendent decides how to carry out those directives from the board. We have been a lax board. We have not exercised our responsibility as elected officials representing the people. We have not set those priorities for the school system. We have allowed the administration to make the priorities for the people rather than the elected officials. The government workers are making the decisions and the priorities. And this is all backwards. And I will continue to refuse to vote for these budget amendments. You know, these people don't realize you've also voted down monthly financial reports that I've requested. I have also requested transparency and stakeholder input in the budget process, and you all voted against it. You also voted against monthly regular work sessions where we can discuss our priorities. And you all voted against these things. And I hope that people will look at this record in November when 4 seats are open, just as Mr. Sizemore mentioned.
All right, all in favor of budget amendment number 4, please signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed?
Aye.
Okay, next is on the action agenda is the meeting dates for April and January. Our meeting date for April falls during spring break, so I was going to see if the board would consider moving back 1 week for April. Does anyone oppose voting on these at the same time? Okay. In January, with our Christmas break, we have everyone, all of our staff is on break. And so it makes it kind of hard and rushed to get the meeting pulled together in January. So I was hoping to move that one back a week also. And,
You said back, you mean?
well, a week later.
Later.
Normally. So it would be the second Thursday.
So April 12 and January 13 would be the second Thursday of those months.
Yes. Yes. Normally our meetings are on the first Thursday of each month. And so I'm asking, and I guess I'm making that motion to change those 2 dates.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you very much. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, I think that was unanimous. All right, policy changes for approval. We have 3 policies. The first is personnel policy reduction in force with our licensed personnel, policy 720. Is there a motion to accept the changes to that policy?
I make the motion to accept policy 720 with changes.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll say.
Any discussion?
I'd like Ms. Lopez to come up and talk about, I think there's 2 major changes in this policy that actually accentuate what I said earlier regarding hiring quality, highest quality, the most highly qualified teachers.
Policy number 720 is a change to our reduction in force law, our reduction in force policy. The reason we're bringing this policy change to you at this time is that there was a change in the legislature this summer. And there were 2 major changes to the law, as Ms. Baldwin said. One, the new law requires that the school system consider an employer's performance when determining who to reduce if you're forced to have a reduction in force. The old law just didn't speak to it, it didn't require